Good morning and welcome to another episode of Walkie-Talkie. I am Chris and this is my lovely wife,
Jillian.
And you are watching Walkie-Talkie, a channel dedicated to pleasant nature walks while we discuss some of the strange, interesting, and crazy subjects that we come across in the news and or social media. So, what's today's subject?
Well, today there is a push to get an Omnibus bill passed in Congress, and it's been setting the internet ablaze as people discuss the contents of the bill and whether or not our Congress should pass it.
So, I did a little research because the word omnibus may not mean something to you, dear walker. What does omnibus mean? Well, it's a Latin term, and it means for all. And in context of bills of this manner, what it means is that we like to jam as many things as we can come up with into a single bill. This is part of the reason why people online are so irate. And it's a very common tactic that's been done for many years. It seems like what they like to do is wait until right before Christmas break. Right around December 20th seems to be the number that comes up frequently in history. And they hold Congress hostage by saying, you're going to vote on this. And if you do not, you are going to be stuck here for your Christmas break, because the government will shut down and the funding will not be put through. So hence it being called the Omnibus Spending Bill. And what really kills me about this is if you really spend time thinking about it, they've had plenty of time to come up with this bill and come up with some salient points for it, bullet points, and be able to produce that for the rest of Congress. But instead, they give them no information. And they drop it right before December 20th, right before the shutdown line comes.
And it's over 1,500 pages.
That's 1,500 pages. It's
I saw
gigantic.
a picture of it.
Yeah.
It was like, somebody said that the number of pages for the bill was the Fellowship of the Ring.
From Lord of the Rings?
Yes. all three books from the Lord of the Rings. And throw in a Harry Potter's and the Philosopher's Stone on top of it. And that's about the size of the bill. But the joke was that it's only 1,024th as interesting as reading those books.
Yeah, that's working as intended as well. Yeah, I think the idea is to...
Hey,
hello,
cute
guys.
doggies.
Good morning again. I think the idea is to put together something so large, so confusing, hide things you want in there for, trying to get what you want, pork barrel spending and whatnot. Jam it in, hold those people hostage. And if they do not sign the bill, blame them for the government shutdown. This stuff happened around the 90s originally. I don't know if you remember news and media during that time, where you would see people arguing about the shutdown, and it had a major impact, politically speaking, for one of the parties. And it's been used as a cudgel ever since then in an attempt to jam it down people's throats.
Well, here's the problem. Back in the past when these things would happen, we just had to kind of sit down, shut up, and take it, because nobody had the wherewithal to really sit down and analyze this. But there is a new technology available to us now, an AI. And
Yep.
AI is, say what you will about LLMs, but one thing they're very, very good at is analysis and summary of an existing text. So if you give it something like a 1,500-page document, that's no sweat for an AI to go through that and summarize it, get all the salient points out, that do all the analysis. You add on to the fact that in addition to having AI, we also now have Twitter Unleashed as the X platform, and everyone's able to speak about these things that they discovered with their AI when they did their analysis. And Elon Musk has the ability to amplify these people's voices as they find these things that are in the bill.
It's a pretty amazing and potent combination. What it really means is that the extortion plot doesn't really work anymore. You can't drop it and say you have to vote on it to understand what's in it, which literally happened for Obamacare years ago. Now people are able to, once you drop it on December 18th, 19th, 20th, people are able to do in about an hour or two enough data analysis to deep dive into all of the problems with the bill.
Previously, that would have taken weeks or longer to really analyze what's happening. And you can tell that this recipe that we have, this new recipe, is very effective because they're definitely scared. What I keep hearing from the media outlets is that billionaire oligarchs are controlling what Congress does because Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire, has too much control over whether or not congressmen vote for this bill.
Do you find that amusing, given that George Soros essentially bought most of the media and has been doing this kind of stuff for years? So I find that very hilarious.
We're definitely going to have to do an episode about media and the media apparatus at some point. But yeah, it's very amusing.
It would take many episodes to go into all the why and how for that. I mean, I say a prayer for the people of Safety Harbor, for the pier that was destroyed during the last hurricane here. You can see it in front of us. The people in the town are pretty upset about it and they miss it. We will rebuild, we shall persevere. That's a little segue there.
Yeah, that was a great hangout spot for all the locals, and the kids love.
Yeah, the kids used to love going there and fishing. So the media is actually a part I'd like to talk about here. It seems like their stranglehold on information has been shattered. It would have been in the past that, you have one day, you can't read it, and anything that you do to attempt to fight back against it, the media comes in and says that you're the one responsible for shutting the government down or keeping money from, FEMA victims for hurricanes, so on and so forth.
Well, yeah, let's talk about some of the things that were uncovered in the bill so you can see what they're kind of...
Yeah, let's talk about what we found in the guts using our AI.
So speaking of FEMA, there's $30 billion for disaster relief that's in the bill. And if they don't pass the bill, doesn't that just mean that we don't get the $30 billion to help with recovery efforts after Helene?
You would think.
So that's kind of a real sneaky, tricky thing in there. If you don't vote for all this other crap, then you won't get your money to help all these hurricane victims who... We live in Florida. If I was stuck outside, it would be uncomfortable, but I'd be okay. People are freezing to death.
Yeah. In North Carolina right now, there are a lot of people who are struggling still and have not received assistance. Meanwhile, the Ukraine gets $20 to $50 billion spending repeatedly, and we have to...
There was $60 billion for Ukraine in the bill, by the way, just as a footnote.
Was there really? I was unaware of that. Wow. How awful.
After just recently, that was blocked. There was a Ukraine funding bill that went through Congress that was blocked. And so...
See that drone up there?
Oh, yeah, drone.
Mm-hmm. Who's using it? The kid over here? Yep. Left side. Yep. How cool. So...
They just blocked a funding bill for Ukraine that tried to get passed a couple weeks ago. As another footnote, I'll just say that since they blocked the funding for Ukraine, Anthony Blinken just went in and took the Russian seized assets and gave them that. Anyway, that was $50 billion in seized Russian assets that they gave to Ukraine when it was legally blocked to fund Ukraine. But we'll talk about that another day.
My wife and I believe they money launder through the Ukraine. The American empire does. We'll get to that in another subject as well. So let's keep on keeping on here. So we have FEMA spending. And again, the media would hammer you if you didn't, because they would come up with, you're going to shut the government down and hurt innocent Americans. And how dare you not help these hurricane victims? Which is really reprehensible. But the media seems like their stranglehold is breaking down. And I don't think they have the reach anymore. I think they've destroyed their reputation so much that people have really tuned them out, and we call it Vox Populi, the voice of the people, which we believe X to be, has taken over. And it seems like they're kind of on their back foot and they're on the ropes with all this, and it doesn't look like it's going to pass through. So what other pieces did we find in there that were, abominations that should never pass?
Well, Congress is giving themselves a raise through the bill, which the last time they got a raise was in 2009, and everybody deserves a COLA increase, as it's called, cost of living
Adjustment, yeah.
Yes. And it's understandable that after 15 years, you might need a COLA increase for Congress, but the raise they proposed was over 40%.
It was a ridiculously high number, which shocked us. Actually, it's kind of funny. We were talking about this, Jill and I, we were joking about, with the inflation being as high as it is really, because the numbers they give you are absolutely not correct. That makes about correct sense, 40%, 38%, somewhere around there. That's about what it feels like to me, inflationarily.
Yeah, over the last 15 years.
Yep, something like that, yep. So that feels about right, unfortunately.
They were already making somewhere, they're in the high 100s, so I'm going to say it was like 170 or something like that is what they make, 180, somewhere around there.
Well, I mean, they make most of their money through, this kind of stuff with omnibus spending bills and getting payouts, and when they leave, they go into corporations that pay them off. So that's where they make their real money. So
insider trading.
Yeah. I don't believe that the omnibus spending bill would really, do much at all to help them with pay. It's kind of another insult on top of the sandwich there.
Taking them from 180 to 250, that would do a lot for me.
It would do a lot for the average person, but these people think in millions, and $100,000 a year is irrelevant to them.
I mean, I think it's important to say not all of them are doing that.
That's true. That's true. In fact, I hate the term all. I really do. We try to be generous to people, even though sometimes I don't think they've earned it. So, we talked about FEMA, and we talked about the pay raise.
And Ukraine.
And Ukraine. Let's talk about my personal favorite, which is the indemnity to having records produced by Congress. This one was found by a few ex-users digging. And there were provisions inside of the Omnibus bill stating that, for example, if we found our government was doing something disreputable and we asked for documents to show that they would be immune to having to produce them. And I just have to ask the question, how is that even constitutional and or legal to put that in? I don't think that would hold up in court.
Well, it seems to be specifically related to the Jan 6 hearings.
Oh.
So there's been some hubbub about Liz Cheney being brought up on witness tampering charges.
Yep.
And so the bill would block the ability to subpoena records from closed-door sessions, from Congress, in order to protect Congress people from being examined legally for their actions in Congress.
That does not seem as though it benefits anyone except for a small group of ultra powerful and rich people. Can you think of any benefit for the American people to that? A single one?
Well, I'll tell you what they would argue, and
give me their argument.
Security and safety, homeland security issues, things that should be classified.
Well, I can't think of a single one outside of that. They use classification for everything, pretty much. That's their catch-all for you're not allowed to know.
Homeland security since 9/11, everybody just gives you a pass as soon as you say Homeland Security.
It's weird, that is. It's almost like that's intentional, too. All right, so outside of the other three things we mentioned, there was a fourth section that really stood out to me, and I really find to be probably the worst of them all, especially with the data that we keep seeing come out. And that is another form of immunity to vaccine suits.
Lawsuits around vaccines to protect the pharmaceutical companies and also to protect the CDC and other governmental organizations who pushed the vax.
Absolutely. Don't know how that is beneficial to... Good morning.
Hi.
I don't know how that's beneficial to the American people either. In fact, I think it's the opposite of beneficial to the American people.
Well, the argument here is that when there is an emergency, they cannot have government agencies and pharmaceutical companies afraid to act to be quick about coming up with these reactive drugs for global pandemics. And so they want to be able to have the drugs created quickly. And if they were liable for all of the injuries that were caused, then that would put a stop to, or I would discourage them from being as experimental and as quick about getting these drugs out when they're needed. So that's the argument.
You can see once again, the trend is fear, emergency, extra power, extra immunity.
Rushed legislation.
And the ability to experiment on people. So good morning.
Morning.
It's
Look at this cute little mop
it's
dog.
a little mop. Good morning.
Look at your silky fur.
Hello, buddy. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
You have to say hello?
Hello.
Checking you out.
Aw.
Very cute.
Have a great day. So, the talking heads in the journalists class seem very angry about Twitter and this thing getting shot down. And
They keep calling X social media, or they keep talking about the effect of social media on government.
yeah,
But here's the thing. X has grown beyond what I think we know of as social media. It is, as you said, Vox Populi, yes, which I think fits the standard for social media. But beyond that, it has become the place to get news. It makes the internet, it makes the news.
it does.
Twitter drives the news cycle now. X, rather, drives the news cycle now. And with community notes, it means that anyone has the ability to request community notes on any post on X to have it reviewed by people. And we have gotten to the point now with X where, other than a few exceptions of some crybaby blue-haired weirdos who have dropped off of X to go to places like Blue Sky.
Blue sky. Blue hair, blue sky. Yep.
Pretty much everybody's on X.
Yeah. You know, something came out recently. You could say that there's a bias towards one political affiliation on X. That's the complaint that the people in Blue Sky make. But recent information has come out about the political leanings of all the people on X, and it's about a 50-50 split. So it's as close and honest to the generalized opinion of the American public that you could possibly get anywhere. And I don't think that's refutable anymore to anyone.
It's teeming with experts, academics, politicians, famous people. I mean, every walk of life is on X. So the idea that it's some kind of localized phenomenon controlled by Elon Musk, sure, Elon is a very loud voice.
You call
on
him
X.
the town crier. I love that.
Yes. If X is the Vox
The
Populi,
tyrants are coming. The tyrants are coming. They are.
if X is Vox Populi, then Elon is the town crier.
He is. I have a healthy fondness for that man. I think he's onto something. Giving a 50-50 split the ability to discuss things and get down to what they believe to be the truth is what the founders intended in this country. And it's been corrupted for a long time. And we're now free to speak. And the results have been paying fruit. And I believe that we're moving towards a better world. Yeah, let's cut over here and go get one last view of the ocean here. So
Yeah, there's some construction noises I'm trying to avoid.
we're trying to rebuild from Milton and Helene. It was a rough patch for the people of Florida for a while. So what do you think the odds are of the bill passing? I'm going to go with 0%.
Well, the thing is that the media is saying that Elon has killed the bill. Elon has outsized influence over the government. He's a billionaire oligarch who is influencing government officials. But the truth is, as we said, Vox Populi, town crier, what Elon is doing is amplifying the message of the people, where people have done this research and found out these things.
Sit here and look at this beautiful view for a bit. We'll finish up. I agree with you. I feel as though, if anything, he's a counterbalance to the media, which leans so heavily left that it's just irrefutable and undeniable at this point. So, if anything, we get to about a 50-50 split.
So as we look at a giant omnibus spending bill, which is designed to basically push people into passing something that is full of a lot of other stuff because they are worried about things like the money for FEMA, which, by the way, I heard an unconfirmed rumor, by the way, but I heard a rumor that there were Congress people that were being threatened with blocking of aid to their constituency if they did not vote yes on the bill.
That's pretty awful.
Their people and their constituents would suffer under the effects of Helene and Milton if they did not pass the bill, because they would not get money sent to their area.
We're playing politics with people's lives at this point.
Yes, and so the game is to get this this thing passed as quickly as possible. Well, so since it looks like that's probably not going to happen, this particular bill, now we have something else that's going to go down. So they're going to say, oh, yeah, you guys made it so we couldn't pass this bill. We're going to keep you here through Christmas, through New Year's. Your vacation is canceled. You can't spend any time with your family, so they're threatening them with that as well. And what they do is they rush together another bill, and they give you even less time to sign it. And the way this generally happens is there is a giant pork bill that is put through the second week before Christmas, or the week before the week of Christmas. If that does not succeed, then they say, oh, you're right, we'll have a shutdown. And then they put down another bill that they release on the 23rd. And then you have like mere hours to get it done.
This is the big ask, right? Like Trump likes to use for negotiating. That means that the second and third versions of the bill will probably be far worse than what we saw. Now, it's possible it may go the other direction, where they start off large and work their way back.
Yeah, well, you'll see concessions are made that are loud, and other things will happen that are snuck in. That vaccine immunity protection was on page like 787 or something.
Right in the middle.
Bill. Yeah, they're snuck in there. Again, just like when we were talking about the legislation before, there is a lot of vague, generalized language.
It's written in lawyerese as well, which hilariously AI is capable of translating quite well. So that game is over for them. All these other bills will be broken down quickly and summarized as well. So this game of putting them in at the end game and trying to shove things through and using the media to punish people is over. So, I really feel like things are moving in a good direction. The people are speaking now, and it seems like this bill was shot down relatively quickly. There's a lot of pressure on the House Republicans to not vote on this. And I feel like that's a step up from a few years ago. It's been 30, 40 years of this nonsense where they've been jamming these bills through, and I find it to be undemocratic. Why can't we have single bills for single issues? Because they need these issues like this FEMA money to make peanut butter for the poison pill that they want us to swallow, and you'll never swallow the pill without the peanut butter. And that's why they put these omnibus bills together, in my humble opinion.
Well, and this is how bipartisan support is won. You have to wrap in something that you want if I want to push a bill through that has something that I want. So that's what people are like, I don't understand. Why would all these things be in this bill? Well, it's the only way you can get cross-aisle support is by having something from both sides that they want in there. And that's how we managed to pass things. I remember years ago being very angry when I went to vote in Florida and I saw that there was a bill about vaping.
And
it was tied
offshore
to
oil rigging.
In the same bill. So I was supposed to vote on this as a Florida resident. Am I for freedom to vape?
Yes.
And oil drilling? Or
depends.
Do I want to?
Typically.
Am I an environmentalist who wants to block oil drilling and reduce people's freedoms on vaping? And it was kind of an impossible decision for me because I am definitely an environmentalist. We can have a conversation about that sometime. I'm what I like to call a real environmentalist.
Yep.
instead of these fake ones. But
A virtue signaling environmentalist that doesn't do anything or accomplish anything. Yep.
I also vape.
So do I.
I know it's not great for me. You don't have to tell me.
Oh, please. So, why don't we summarize everything today? Congress has a omnibus spending bill. They're playing partisan politics. The bill is jammed in at the last minute. They attempt to deny people their Christmas vacation. They put multiple versions of it through that get closer and closer to the deadline. The shutdown itself is used as a political weapon to beat anyone who doesn't comply. They've hidden immunity for investigations into Congress or the J6 hearings. They've put immunity for vax for pharmaceutical companies. They put a huge pay increase for themselves in there because they're doing such a great job. And there's
Ukraine spending.
The Ukraine spending was in there. There's one I'm missing.
FEMA spending.
The FEMA spending as well. So
there's so much more, by the way. I
yeah.
just want to say I encourage you to go do your own analysis on this bill. And maybe this will show you that you need to do this when there is a new announcement dropped on whitehouse.gov. Throw it in your AI because they do this every day. This is getting a lot of attention right now because it's a huge stack that's bigger than Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter put together. And so it gets a lot of attention. But if you go and you look at whitehouse.gov, you will see every announcement is done this way. Everything is meant to tuck in and slide in something that is terrible along with something that seems really good on its face.
Make it sound good and use lawyerese to be as boring and confusing as possible. Absolutely. That's the game. So I think that this bill will get shot down. That's my prediction. I feel like we'll have a second wave, and we are going to be there to analyze that one as well.
What do you think should happen, though? If you had your druthers, what would happen?
Single line voting on everything.
Well, right now, what I say is shut it down.
Absolutely,
shut the government down. I don't want the government to do anything.
The
until
default,
Trump
if you
comes
give me a
in.
bill one day before voting, is no. And if you don't want to comply with that, I will simply state that it is an untenable working environment to be given one day to read 1,500 pages and make a logical decision that benefits the American people.
I think the government needs to be shut down right now because they've been trying to push through all sorts of kinds of stuff.
I would prefer that they are shut down for a while. Actually, it would be beneficial for everyone.
Yep, so. They're trying to burn the country down before Trump can get in on the 20th.
It certainly feels that way. Or they're trying to set as many landmines for him as possible so he can trip up and they can attack him.
No question.
So, this is the game. Well, we thank you for walking with us. We apologize for the hurricane repairs and the noise. It's going to be a rough patch until we get things back in order in the state of Florida. I'm Chris. This is my wife, Jillian. We are part of Walkie-Talkie. We are here to help you to understand the mayhem going on around you, maybe to get a better view of why things are happening so you're less confused, and to supplant it in with some wonderful, beautiful nature walking. Get outside, get in the sun, anything you can do, especially in the winter, because your vitamin D levels are lower, which tends to lead to depression. Be out in the sun as much as possible, even if it's for 10 to 20 minutes a day. You need that minimum. Be safe. We love you guys. Jill, anything else you want to say before we finish up here?
I'm less here to inform, and I'm more here to start the conversation. People need to inform themselves. Go do your own research. Validate the things that we're talking about.
Prove us wrong. We like it.
We're here to start the conversation. And so please join the conversation in the comments.
Sounds good. All right. To all our people, we love you guys. We will talk soon. Peace.